This is Prince Handley coming to you today with 100,000 watts of pure love. The voice to Israel and for Israel. In this podcast, I want to talk to you about 5 different items. Number 1, the economy and the market. Number 2, IBM's person tracking unit. Number 3, iPhone development, the third platform. Number 4, setting up the next populace, the mark of the beast, 666. And number 5, what Jewish people and the state of Israel need to watch for. First, let's talk about the economy and the market. In the United States, payrolls were reduced by 63,000 in February, and home equity sunk below the 50% level. A record 1 million homes are in foreclosure, and nearly 3 million people are behind in their mortgage payments. Remember, when you put God first in your finances, He will take care of you. And the reason I mention the U.S. there is it has a ripple effect in other countries and also in Israel. The Torah says in Deuteronomy 8:18, "But you shall remember the Lord your God, for it is He that gives you power to get wealth, that He may establish His covenant which He sware unto your fathers, as it is this day." Let me ask you a question, and the reason I'm asking is to help you. What are you doing to help establish God's covenant in the earth? As far as investments, Joy Global had a first quarter profit rise of 27.5%. Rising coal prices and strong international demand, its shares rose 5%. It's now at twice what I recommended it a year ago. You should have listened to me. Prince Handley will tell you what looks good to him from time to time as far as the market, investments, and so forth. Number 2, let's talk about IBM's person tracking unit. On the subject of knowing who you are and where you are, I promised a few weeks ago to give you information on RFID patents and specifically information on IBM patent information. U.S. patent application number 2002-0165758, and that was applied for by John R. Hind, James N. Mathewson, and Marcia L. Peters. It was filed the 2nd of November in 2002, and it was assigned to IBM International Business Machine. The title is Identification and Tracking of Persons Using RFID Tagged Items. This person tracking unit should be of supreme importance to you if you're Jewish, especially since IBM leased punch card technology to the Third Reich so that Hitler could track Jews and their property. This patent application is quite lengthy, but one part of interest is as follows, and I'm going to quote, "Although the systems of the present invention have been described in context of a retail store, it can be applied to other locations having roaming areas, such as shopping malls, airports, train stations, bus stations, elevators, trains, airplanes, restrooms, sports arenas, libraries, theaters, museums, etc." I'm going to discuss more on RFIDs, that's radio frequency identifications, in upcoming podcasts. As I said in a previous podcast, they will replace the current barcode system. Now let's talk about iPhone development, the third platform. The iPhone is ramping up for the business world. By the way, before we discuss the implications of this new development, if you already own an iPhone, you can download Prince Handley Podcast, that's me, at the following sites: www.blubrry.com/Messiah. By the way, Blubrry is spelled B-L-U-B-R-R-Y. There's no E in berry. If you're listening to this podcast, read the show notes of this episode and you'll find the links to those sites. In June 2008, a free software update will be available for the business and corporate market, allowing employees to connect to Microsoft Exchange servers and for virtual private networks. In June 2008, Apple will open an iPhone App Store available on phones and computers through iTunes. John Doerr, who has invested or set aside $100 million to invest in companies developing iPhone applications, said this, and I'm going to quote, "The iPhone is the creation of the third great platform," that's after computers and the internet. "It knows who you are and where you are. It's bigger than the PC," end quote. Now let me repeat that. The iPhone is the creation of the third great platform. After computers and the internet, it knows who you are and where you are. It's bigger than the PC. That's funny. Didn't I just talk about who you are and where you are? Now let's talk about setting up the next populace for the mark of the beast, 666. Cell phones for kids. The MO1, developed by Imaginarium, is a toy company, and Telefonica in Spain is a tiny red and blue curvy handset for 6-year-olds. There's not much scientific information on the long-term effect of radio frequency electromagnetic fields emitted by mobile telephones on the developing brains and tissues of children. iPhones for kids, RFID for kids. It's funny that about 67% of people today, when surveyed about their opinion of RFIDs, object to it. However, by the time the next generation is of adult age, they will have been conditioned to it and will gladly receive it. They will accept the mark of the beast unless you teach your children about it. Adolf Hitler knew this principle. Here's what Hitler had to say about it. "When an opponent declares, 'I will not come over to your side, and you will not get me on your side,' I calmly say, 'Your child belongs to me already. A people lives forever. What are you? You will pass on. Your descendants, however, now stand in the new camps. In a short time, they will know nothing else but this new community." End quote of what Hitler said. And now let's talk about what Jewish people and the state of Israel need to watch for. Watch out, Israel, for the coming world leader. By the way, who or what was the little horn mentioned in Daniel chapter 8? In the Tanakh, in the prophet Daniel, this little horn was Antiochus Epiphanes, who was the king of Syria. He, as the little horn, was a type or a picture of the other horn out of the 10 horns spoken of in Daniel chapter 7, verses 20 to 25. In Daniel chapter 7, the other horn is the same as the anti-Messiah, or the Antichrist, of Revelation chapters 13 and 17 in the Brit Hadashah. The Brit Hadashah is the New Covenant, or the New Testament in the Holy Bible. I will give you some historical facts to show you what Antiochus did when he came into Jerusalem about 170 BC. He sacrificed a sow, a female pig, upon the altar of burnt offerings, and then made a broth from it and sprinkled it over the entire building. He corrupted the young people with lewd practices and obscenity. He changed the Feast of Tabernacles to the Feast of Bacchus. He auctioned off the priesthood. All true worship was forbidden. Idol worship was introduced, especially to Jupiter Olympus. The city was devastated. 100,000 Jews were massacred. Again, I want you to notice that Antiochus was a type or picture of that man of sin who will appear in the future and shall magnify himself against the Prince of Princes, Yeshua, the Messiah. You can read Daniel chapter 8, verse 25. Notice that he, the man of sin, will be broken without hand. I've gone into detail on this to show you how some prophecies have a partial or even a complete fulfillment, but the initial fulfillment is just a type of that which is to come. It's a picture of the future. You can usually tell this in these types of prophetic passages by the clear wording applied to the portion which is yet to be fulfilled. Remember that in Daniel chapter 9, verse 27, the anti-Messiah, or the Antichrist, shall confirm a covenant with the children of Israel for 7 years. Also, the 10 horns in Daniel chapter 7 in the Tanakh and in Revelation chapters 13 and 17 in the Brit Hadashah show a 10-nation confederacy in the end time. The nations, along with Russia, Ethiopia, Libya, and Persia, Persia being the partial confines of modern-day Iran and the United Arab Republic, coming against Israel are the things to watch for right now. It's this 10-nation confederacy that you need to really be alert concerning Israel. These 10 nations will be formed from the European Union, the EU, or the League of Arab Nations, or a combination of both. Notice that Turkey will probably be the first Muslim nation allowed into the EU. And it is from this 10-nation confederacy that the New World leader, the anti-Messiah, will be chosen. He will make a treaty with Israel for 7 years, and he will allow the Jews to rebuild their temple. But in the middle of the 7 years, after 42 months have passed, this New World leader will go into the temple and proclaim that he is God. He will also blaspheme the Lord, the Holy One of Israel. The next 3.5 years, the last half of the 7 years after this, will be the worst time the Jews have ever known in history. Worse than the Holocaust under Hitler in Nazi Germany. Be alert, Israel. Read the Torah, read the Tanakh, read the Brit Hadashah. Know what's happening today, and know where you're going, and where your family is going. The Messiah is for you. The question is, are you for him? If you don't know the Messiah, pray and ask the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob to reveal to you if Yeshua is really your Messiah. And if he does reveal this to you, then ask Yeshua HaMashiach into your heart. If you do, he will make himself known to you. Obey God and let the power of the Lord invade the earth through you. This is Prince Handley coming to you with 100,000 watts of pure love. Baruch haba b'Shem Adonai.